If Niccolo Machiavelli were alive today, he wouldn't be publishing books, he'd be quietly running empires. He wouldn't tweet, he wouldn't post, and you'd never see him chasing attention. He'd operate from the shadows, pulling strings so carefully you'd think fate itself was on his side. In a world obsessed with being seen, Machiavelli would win by being invisible. And today, I'll show you exactly how, not through quotes, but through doctrine, 21 psychological rules for total control, built on what Machiavelli would do if he walked among us today. People judge more by what they see than what they understand. Control how they see you, and you control how they act. Rule 1. Always let them underestimate you. Machiavelli knew true power is safest when it's hidden. In a time where everyone competes to prove their worth, flashing titles, showing off intelligence, shouting to be heard, he'd do the opposite. He'd enter quietly, observe before speaking, and when he finally did, his words would shift the entire room. He wouldn't demand attention, he'd command it without effort. Let them believe you're quiet, harmless, even insignificant. Because when they stop seeing you as a threat, they reveal their weaknesses. And that's when you strike, from a place they never even thought to guard. Rule 2. Charm is more dangerous than truth. In a hyper-connected, image-driven world, it's not truth that travels, it's perception. Machiavelli understood that everyone sees what you seem to be, but very few ever experience who you really are. So he wouldn't waste time proving his honesty, he'd invest in crafting illusion. He'd flash a winning smile in boardrooms while quietly planting misdirection. He'd flatter enemies, inflate their confidence, and neutralize them with likability. That's the art, not being good, but being believed as good. You don't have to be honest, you have to be persuasive. Don't fix people's perceptions. Use them. Let them crown you the hero while you quietly rewrite the ending. Rule 3. Create ambiguity on purpose. Most people scramble to be understood. Machiavelli would do the opposite. He'd leave people uncertain, cold one day, generous the next, sometimes silent, sometimes intense. Not because he's inconsistent, but because they are. Confusion breeds obsession. Obsession sharpens focus. Focus becomes influence. When people can't define you, they study you. They overanalyze your words. They interpret your silence. They orbit your mystery, desperate to decode it. That's power. You're no longer just a person, you're a puzzle. And puzzles become fixations. Machiavelli would say, the people you control most are the ones who think of you the most. So stop over-explaining. Stop clarifying. Stop filling every silence. Leave gaps. Speak in riddles. Smile at the questions you won't answer. Because confusion sparks curiosity, and curiosity pulls them into your gravity. Rule 4. Control what they see. Hide what you do. In an era where every move is broadcast, Machiavelli would move in the shadows. Everyone else is building a personal brand, showing progress, posting proof. But the moment people know your strategy, they start planning their counters. They build alliances, craft narratives, and lay traps. Machiavelli would flip that. His output would be public, his input would stay private. He'd look transparent while concealing his mechanics. A prince must be prepared to act against loyalty, against charity, against humanity, against religion to preserve the state. Translation: appear noble, act ruthlessly. Reveal no blueprints. Explain nothing. Don't announce what you're building until it's already finished. Let them assume you're slow or idle, then overtake them in silence. Control the feed. Guard the factory. Rule 5. Build a mask, then let it crack. Machiavelli understood what every modern manipulator knows: perfection is forgettable, flaws are addictive. So build your mask. Appear poised, confident, intelligent, calm. But once in a while, let it fracture. Show a calculated imperfection, a sharp word, a hint of vulnerability, a sudden flash of depth. Why? Because people don't obsess over what they fully understand. They obsess over what feels just beyond reach. Give them 90% of the story, then go quiet. They'll chase the missing 10% for years. A wise ruler should cultivate an appearance of virtue while being ready to act contrary to it. Be the light, then reveal a flicker of darkness. Let them glimpse the abyss, then close the curtain. They won't remember the mask. They'll remember the moment it slipped, and they'll never stop trying to see what's behind it. Rule 6, say less than necessary, always. When people ramble, they expose weakness, craving for validation, fear of being misunderstood, and dependence on clarity. The person who speaks precisely, then stops, owns the room. Machiavelli didn't speak to be fully understood, he spoke to create distance. His words were like blades, not blankets. In a negotiation, argument, or tense moment he'd drop one sentence, two at most, then let silence do the rest. That silence breeds dread, because others begin to project, what does he know? Why didn't he react? What's next? You said nothing, yet they've written a whole story with you as the uncatchable villain. So speak exactly enough, not to please or impress, but to set the tempo of thought. Then stop. Let them lean in, guess, and sweat. Real mystery is forged in the space between words. Rule 7, blur the line between threat and ally. People crave certainty, who's with them, who's against them. Machiavelli would deny that certainty. He'd dine with enemies, praise rivals, and defend people he planned to remove. If they think you're dangerous, they arm themselves. If they think you're neutral, they relax, and that's the moment to move. Be both fox and lion, clever enough to spot traps, fierce enough to frighten wolves. Praise an opponent's idea right before you outmaneuver them. Agree with a critic right before you replace them quietly. Appear passive until your absence becomes a weapon. Be warm, disarming, and supportive, then act when it's too late for them to stop you. In modern terms, say less, smile more, seem neutral, and remove them while they're still unsure whether you were ever a threat. Rule 8, make them feel safe right before you take power. The easiest removal isn't a fight, it's making someone believe you're harmless. Machiavelli would study your patterns, mirror your language, praise your ideas, and disagree gently. He'd never make you feel defeated, he'd make you feel like you were guiding him. Once trust settles in, he strikes, decisively, cleanly, and so quickly you only feel betrayal after he's already in your place. People obey immediate needs, a deceiver never lacks victims. So tell them what they need to hear, show what they want to see, and then take what they never thought you'd touch, all with a smile. Rule 9, make people dependent, then remove yourself. If Machiavelli wanted control, he wouldn't threaten, he'd create dependence. He'd teach what no one else can, solve problems others won't, offer stability they didn't earn, and become irreplaceable, without asking for credit. Then he would quietly withdraw. Nothing devastates faster than the sudden loss of a necessary presence. People behave honestly when they must, when free, they cheat. Become their necessary illusion, the one they didn't know they needed until you're gone. Create a void, let them lean on you, then pull your hand away mid-step. They won't hate you, they'll hate how much they need you, and they'll spend years trying to fill the gap. Rule 10, weaponize the favor. Most help is given to be liked, Machiavelli gave to gain leverage. When he offered something, he made sure you remembered it. He didn't collect by force, he collected by presence. You'd feel indebted, diminished, imbalanced, and that's deliberate. Give them a shortcut, a solution, an advantage, then withdraw slightly. Ask for nothing, let the imbalance ache until they repay you with loyalty, favors, information, or submission. If they forget, remind them subtly, that one moment of help becomes a claim on their pride. Patient favors turn into psychological chains. The longer they go unacknowledged, the heavier they weigh. Rule 11, manufacture loyalty by letting them betray others for you. Loyalty isn't always earned through kindness. Machiavelli knew the truest way to bind someone is to get them to compromise on your behalf. Don't force betrayal, create the opening. Let them confide something they shouldn't. Let them break a small rule for you. Let them speak ill of another to win your approval. You never pressure, you simply leave the door ajar and they step through. Now they're tied to you, not by admiration, but by complicity. People protect what they've compromised for. The more they invest in you, the more they risk losing, and the less they can afford to abandon you. That's how Machiavelli built allies, through entanglement, not charm. Rule 12, break alliances from the inside. Machiavelli didn't just defeat individuals, he eroded networks. He wouldn't assault an alliance directly, he'd infiltrate it. Plant ideas, sow doubt, create misalignments. I heard he said something about you. Have you noticed she never defends you? Seeds of suspicion, casually introduced, do the work. You don't need to destroy the group, you let them destroy themselves. Once trust corrodes within, the entire structure collapses without a single blow. If you want someone to follow you without even realizing it, don't attack their weaknesses, echo them. Reflect their doubts back softly, with perfectly timed remarks. You're so bold, especially for someone who's not used to the spotlight. You always pull through, even when others don't take you seriously. You're doing great, even if your confidence doesn't always show. Comments like these don't insult. They plant agreement in their pain. They make you the one who gets them. Once they feel seen by you, they attach to you. They defer. They move inside your gravity without resistance. Machiavelli knew threats build walls, but insecurities open doors from the inside. Once you're inside, you're the only voice they trust. Rule 14, never hold the knife. Every betrayal, every removal, every ruthless decision, Machiavelli had one principle: never be seen as the executioner. He whispered ideas, steered decisions, provoked outcomes, but never stood in the spotlight. When someone needed cutting off, he'd make it seem they cut themselves out. When rivals needed to vanish, he'd let them self-destruct with a nudge. When chaos was required, he'd feed both sides information, then step back before the fire began. Why? Because executioners gain enemies. But the person who appears as the inevitable alternative after someone else fails, they gain followers. This is the masterpiece: clean hands, hidden power. You orchestrate everything, and nobody can prove it. Rule 15, weaponize silence. In any room, the strongest voice is the one that doesn't speak. Silence isn't weakness, it's a weapon disguised as passivity. Machiavelli would step into today's world of rants and podcasts and dominate by being the one who doesn't broadcast. Someone insults you, you say nothing. Someone pries for your opinion, you smile and let them keep talking. Someone tries to provoke you, you blink, still. Silence forces them to fill the space. And the more they speak, the more they reveal their doubts, their motives, their weak spots. You don't interrogate them, they hand you the answers to escape your quiet. Silence is deception's most elegant form. Rule 16, be unpredictable when it counts. Machiavelli wouldn't be chaotic. He'd be strategically unreliable. Predictability invites manipulation. If they know exactly how you'll respond, they'll plan around you. But if sometimes you forgive and sometimes you vanish, sometimes you answer and sometimes you let them drown in silence, sometimes you step in and sometimes you watch them implode, they can't plan for you. They start to fear you, not because you're aggressive, but because you're unreadable. Uncertainty breeds fear. And the person they can't predict is the person they can't control. Rule 17, leave a shadow in your absence. To dominate psychologically, you don't need to always appear. You need to make your presence felt even when you're gone. Become their standard, their reference point, the shadow in every decision. They second-guess their choices because of what you once corrected. They can't celebrate victories without wondering what you would have done. They don't fully trust others because they still remember your precision. This isn't content, it's energy. You imprint yourself through control, patience, and surgical behavior while you're still in the room. When you're gone, you're unforgettable. They keep playing by your rules even when you're not there. Rule 18, let fear speak for you. Threats create resistance. Machiavelli didn't threaten, he let others wonder. That wondering, that imagination, does more damage than any words. Today you don't say, I could expose you. You pause when they lie and let them squirm. You don't say, I'll ruin you. You make one quiet call, then say nothing. You don't say, you're finished. You disappear from their world and let them panic about what's coming. Fear born from imagination is stronger than fear born from knowledge. They'll work for your approval just to avoid finding out. Rule 19. Delay revenge until it devours. Machiavelli didn't rush retaliation. He watched. He waited. He let the wound fester until the timing was perfect. He knew injuries should be inflicted all at once so the taste lingers. Benefits should be granted little by little so loyalty deepens. When wronged, he didn't react. He observed. He let the offender relax, think they'd gotten away with it. Then, one day, clean, calculated, absolute. Revenge isn't punishment. It's control. Instant reaction lets them set the tempo. Delayed revenge makes them live in paranoia, fearing every silent moment. That fear is sharper than any blow. Rule 20. Become a system, not a man. Machiavelli didn't aim to be liked. He aimed to be indispensable. Not a person, a structure. That's the modern move. Stop being a name, start being a network, an idea, a standard. Train others to think like you. Build systems no one else understands. Embed yourself so deeply in their operations that removing you means dismantling everything. Even after you're gone, your voice echoes in decisions they make. That's not influence. That's permanence. If Machiavelli were alive today, he wouldn't yell into the void or chase followers. He'd sit quietly inside power structures, shaping narratives with a smile and a silence. He'd be the small, persistent voice in your head. Don't reply. Don't expose yourself. Let others talk first. Above all, he wouldn't hunt respect, he'd arrange it so others couldn't breathe without it. That's the victory, not through fame or noise, but by building a legacy that outlasts every signal. Backhand index pointing right. Subscribe to MindCode N5, where strategy meets the human mind.